In life, we're all faced with obstacles and challenges to overcome, and some of them not so fair.
But whether fair or not, it's how you deal with them that defines you. That was the cause for one local student athlete, and Fox 21's Andrew Lovelette is here with the story.
Dan Deanne, Casey Omersa was a rising star as a sophomore pitcher for Eveleth Gilbert High School, but a routine checkup left him with a tough decision, putting a hold on baseball and life. Baseball is America's pastime, but for Casey Omersa, it was his present and future.
Had 4 wins, I had a great defense behind me. Getting ground ball outs like I needed to, striking people out, and it was great.
Casey's been playing the game since he was 3 or 4, and it was evident early on that his skills on the diamond were impressive.
I've been coaching a high school team now for 13 years, so watching them all through Little League and everything coming up, and we knew we had something special coming.
But before Eveleth Gilbert head baseball coach Brian Landborg could get a chance to see young Casey pitch for him, a regular visit to the doctor changed everything.
I think I was about 10 when I went in. Playing baseball, my mom noticed a big hunch in my back, so they were wondering what that was. So I went to the doctor and they diagnosed me with scoliosis.
Scoliosis is an abnormal curvature of the spine, often in the shape of an S or C rather than a straight line. The diagnosis meant Casey and his family had to watch his spine carefully, so it didn't progress any further. Casey's spine initially was found with a small curvature of 9 degrees, but it got worse over time.
We'd go in every so many months, they do the x-rays and look, and then he was to the point where it was so many degrees that we had to have him start wearing a brace.
Casey was a sophomore in high school, just coming into his own for the varsity team.
He was our #1 pitcher when he was our sophomore season. He was prep athlete of the week 1 week around the area, so he had a great year.
Despite helping his team to the Arrowhead Conference title and a bright future ahead, his back simply wasn't cooperating. Casey needed spinal fusion surgery.
I was really nervous going into it because they said it was going to be about 8 hours surgery, and they completely opened me up.
2 rods and 15 screws later, the surgery was successful, but it meant a long road to recovery and no baseball his junior year, and possibly for good.
For me, I never thought I'd be able to come back. I don't even think the doctors could.
However, Casey proved them wrong.
I had my catcher Mario and my good friend Tyler. We were in the gym, pitching every morning, playing catch, coming in at 7 o'clock, throwing for an hour, getting ourselves ready to go.
Casey made his return to the mound in time for his senior season, but not before teaching himself how to pitch again.
I had to completely relearn everything all over again.
His release point is completely different than what it used to be, and he's still trying to find it, or when he does find it, it's hard to duplicate it all the time.
Because of this, Casey hasn't played in too many games, but when he's not, he's the team's biggest fan.
The saying, there's no I in team, that's basically what Casey lives for. He's a team player. That's what he does.
Even though Casey isn't the same player he was before the surgery, he's happy to be back with his teammates, trying to help build another winner for the Golden Bears.
We're a young team. We got lots of young talent coming up. A lot of our starters are 10th and 9th grade kids, so it's more of a building thing than anything, getting them ready. So in a couple of years, we're going to have a great team.
Jarring hits and high-impact collisions have been a part of sports like football and hockey since their inception.
I can remember, being knocked unconscious or knocked senseless, and you just kind of pick it up and you get back in there, whether or not you were functional or not.
Coaches say that old-school mentality of brush it off, get back in the game has been the root cause of recurring concussion problems among athletes.
What really happened is that kid sustained a concussion, and he could have gone back out there, sustained another concussion, then we'd be looking at a life-threatening injury.
Sometimes the trickiest thing for trainers is simply determining if an athlete had one or not.
It's not like an ankle sprain where you can see the ankle swell up, that kind of thing. It's something inside the head. It's actually bruising to the brain.
At Superior High School, the sports scene has transitioned from the football field to the rinks and courts. But before any practices or games are played, players must complete a computer-based concussion test.
It's called the Impact Test, and that's a company that offers baseline and then post-concussion tests for student athletes. And even NFL players you see taking this test now.
A lot of my friends said it was going to be hard, but that was pretty easy. You would have to memorize numbers and letters and different kind of shapes and stuff.
The test takes about 25 to 45 minutes. Then trainers and coaches can refer back to the results if that player sustains a concussion.
If we're at an away game and the other trainer says, hey, I think this individual might have a concussion, Mike can just tell the kid to go online, take the baseline right online, and then Mike gets the data that night, and we know, hey, do we have to sit this kid out? Does he need further eval?
Dane Sislow, a senior captain for the Spartan boys hockey team, knows firsthand the benefits of the impact test after being knocked out of last year's state playoff game.
I went down in the corner to go after a loose puck, and I had my back turned, and the player didn't get a penalty, but I got checked from behind, and I blacked out.
The impact test is not an end-all, be-all for diagnosing concussions, but it's another way schools can prevent, recognize, and respond to ensure the safety of all athletes.
Sometimes it's frustrating if you're in a tight game and all of a sudden, you're with the trainer and the trainer's, when in doubt, you hold them out.
I feel like if you're not 100%, why play? So that's basically my motto.
The country's best half-marathon runners were on display bright and early Saturday morning for the start of the U.S. Men's and Women's Half-Marathon Championships. The race, boasting U.S. Olympians Abdirahman and Kara Goucher, the hometown favorite.
Every elite athlete dreams big dreams when they're growing up. And for me to be able to come here on my way to the Olympics, I couldn't have asked for anything more. It's been amazing.
The men's race was a close one, won by Abdirahman, followed closely by Brett Goucher. But all eyes in Duluth were on Goucher. The pace was a quick one, set by Goucher and New York's Megan Krifchen.
She didn't just let me go by any means. She I could see her shadow. Just getting like a half a stride, and then a minute later a half a stride, but she wasn't conceding anything.
Halfway through the 13.1-mile race, it looked as if Goucher may have some company, but a few miles later, she kicked it up a notch.
I saw the hill coming up, and I was like, oh, all right, I'll work that hill, but I think Kara was working that hill just as hard, or maybe even harder.
Goucher pleasing the home crowd, finishing in a blistering time of 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 46 seconds, a new half-marathon course record.
I love you, Duluth! I just kept trying to imagine that I was literally in the Olympic marathon. I had been broken, and now I'm trying to catch up to the lead pack.
Surrounded by friends and family, Goucher will look to take the win in stride as she prepares to run the full marathon at the 2012 Summer Games in London. And after that, maybe a return to Duluth next year.
If I attempt to run the marathon, then this would fit perfectly again. But I don't know yet. A lot depends on how I do at the Olympics and in Boston next year.
In Duluth, I'm Andrew Lovelette, KQDS Fox 21 Sports. High above the shores of Lake Superior, you'll find a bike race featuring steep climbs and scenic routes. Sounds like a nice Sunday stroll. That is, until you find out that it's a 99-mile stroll.
This is the long, painful, joyful ride. And that's what we like. We're junkies of pain.
The Lutsen 99er is a relatively new event, just in its second year, but the challenging race has quickly brought in riders by the hundreds.
I really wanted something different from road biking, where you can kind of just zone out, go fast. Mountain biking, you really have to be paying attention. There's a lot more technical kind of aspects to it.
For those looking for something a little shorter, there's also a 39-mile course. But whether you choose the 99 or 39-mile route, keeping yourself focused is a must.
They'll have a point in the race where they hit the wall. And whether it's mile 60, mile 80, mile 90, and so mentally getting through that is always the tough part.
Staying ahead of nutrition, not getting dehydrated, making sure I'm taking in electrolytes, carbs, some protein.
In a day and age where winning takes precedent, the Lutsen 99er instead praises passion and commitment to the sport.
We're trying to stay together. I told him, and he feels like he can fly, go ahead and get it. I'll take my time, I'll finish.
I know it's going to be really hard. I heard it's pretty muddy out there, so expecting to get pretty dirty, but just wanting to try to finish under the 11-hour cutoff time.
It's the physical challenge, it's the community, it's the greater spectrum of the spectators. It's just so much adrenaline, and it's just a fun experience.
This may look like just another springtime run, but for the town of Mattawa, it's part of the worst day.
We got the worst day in Mattawa. We have the worst bus. We got the worst employees. You name it, we've got the worst.
Worst as in bratwurst, Tom Bislow, owner of TJ's Country Store, has been cooking up sausages, brats, and jerky for over 30 years. And 15 years ago, he decided to make a day centered around his best Wurst.
A brat trot, teeny weeny trot, brat eating contest, a near beer drinking contest, and some good old polka music, the Wurst band, of course.
Even though conditions may have actually been the worst on this day, people didn't shy away from a little run in the rain.
It just feels good. Actually, the conditions are great, and it just sets the pace for the day, and you just feel good.
We get to be down the Munger Trail, which is an amazing trail as is, and then to be able to run it in this kind of festivities is just awesome.
As you can imagine, the brat eating contest is the main draw on Wurst Day.
3, 2, 1, begin.
Everyone with their own strategy.
I never practice. I just eat a normal meal otherwise, and today it's just try to inhale.
Trying to get the meat down. The bun breaks down as soon as the water hits it, so I always try to take a bite and get some water, but yeah, it's chew and swallow as fast as you can. Just do everything you can.
This year's contest coming down to the wire.
1 minute remaining, 1 minute.
The winning total, nearly 7 brats in 5 minutes. But whether you're inhaling or just enjoying, TJ's brats are worth every bite.
TJ's brats are so good, everybody's got to eat a brat once in a while.